who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that... Welcome, Eldorados. This is Larry Elder. It's another edition of And Another Thing, which we do every week, and it's available on Facebook. You can see a little bit of it on Facebook, but if you want to see the entire episode, it's just for Eldorados, as you well know, and you can become an Eldorado by going to larryelder.com, signing up, and we're off to the races. You'll get a free copy of my award-winning DVD, Michael and Me, which is a feature-length documentary which explores the Second Amendment, the history of the Second Amendment, and I tracked down Michael Moore. Michael Moore, as you know, tracked down Roger Smith, then the CEO of General Motors, for an interview, and did a documentary called Roger and Me. So this is a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing called Michael and Me, where I tried to track him down to ask him a question, and the question was, how often do Americans use guns to defend themselves? And I did track him down, and I did ask him that question 3 times. You have to look at the movie to find out how he answered it. By the way, while we're on this, the movie Roger and Me, where Michael Moore was trying to track down Roger Smith to ask him why he was closing down so many plants and aren't you being cold and heartless and yada blah, etc. It turns out the truth is that Roger Smith did agree to sit down with Michael Moore and sat down with him, I understand, for at least a 20-minute interview, none of which made the movie because it ruined the movie. Michael Moore hoped that Roger Smith would not sit down with him. That's the whole premise of the movie. This CEO was hurting people and firing people and whacking people and won't even sit down and talk about it and talk about what kind of callousness it takes to do that, when in fact Roger Smith did sit down with Michael Moore. I've heard from a number of people. And what I understand is Michael Moore said, you don't need to tell me how much I'm hurting people. You don't need to tell me what it's like to go from having a job to no job. You don't need to tell me what it's like to downsize and to all of a sudden have your lifestyle affected like it's been affected because of our plant closings. But I have an obligation to my shareholders. I have an obligation to my other workers. And if I allow people to continue to work who no longer are turning out productive products for all sorts of reasons, I undermine the financial integrity of the whole company. So don't tell me how to do my job and don't tell me I lack compassion. That's what I understand he told Michael Moore, never made the movie. The movie gives you the impression that Roger Smith was ducking and dodging and weaving and didn't want to be asked anything. He sat down with the SOB and he went toe-to-toe. It never made the movie. Anyway, my movie, however, is honest. I tried to sit down with Michael Moore and you'll find out what happened in the movie. Now, the first thing that we were going to talk here before I get into the questions is the issue of double standards. Well, we talk a lot about double standards over the years, about how the media will treat Sarah Palin one way and treat Joe Biden one way. A gaffe by Joe Biden is that's old Joe. A gaffe by Sarah Palin is she's an idiot. We talked about stuff like that many, many, many times. I've noticed something else, though. There was an article in the LA Times about the fact that no gay person's ever come out in any of the major American sports while he was still playing or she was still playing. Let me take it back, while he was still playing, because lots of people have come out in the WNBA. But male, not a single current NBA player has come out, not a single current NFL player has come out, not a single current NBA player has come out. And the article asked why. Clearly there must be some there, given the percentage of gays in the population, about 3 or 4% by most estimates. Some people put it as high as 10%. It's not. It's probably 3 or 4%. But given that, one would think that there would have to be at least somebody in one of these major sports who is gay. But he has not come out. The question is why. And the writer was saying that it would probably be stigma, there'd probably be some dissension in the locker room, and all of that. Aside from the issue of what would happen, I want to talk about a person who was quoted in the article, and that person is Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter is a ball player for the LA Angels, or the Anaheim Angels, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever they are, he plays for them. And he said, I would have a problem. I'd have a problem with somebody who came out. I would have a problem with them in the locker room. And I waited for something to happen. Nothing did. I mean, maybe something did on the blogosphere. I mean, I didn't look that deeply. But if some white player came out and said something like, I don't think I'd be happy playing with a gay guy, what do you think would happen? Spike Lee. Spike Lee made a movie about interracial relationships called Jungle Fever, and in the movie, in promoting the movie, he was asked about his feelings about interracial couples. He says, I don't like interracial couples. When I see them on the street, I give them visual daggers to make them feel uncomfortable. If Clint Eastwood, Steven Spielberg, Taylor Hackford, fill in the blank of your favorite director, Martin Scorsese, done. Can you say Michael Richards? Done. This man could publicly say he doesn't like interracial couples. Not a problem. If you're hearing it for the first time, and you probably are, you're hearing it from me because nobody seems to care. This is a prominent director who made this statement. Diane Watson made that statement. And nobody cared. Wow. So I guess it's okay to be racist if you're black, but it's not okay to be racist if you're white. And to say Obamacare, according to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, is racist, but Diane Watson can make the statement that she made, and it's not a problem. I don't know what to say. All right, let's get some of these questions. Larry, I feel very weird about the feelings I have toward our president. I can't believe I can't think of the name of the contractor. He was a prominent contractor. I want to say his name starts with a C, like Clarence, but it's not Clarence. Anyway, had him on the show a couple times too. Theresa from Inglewood. Larry, I feel very weird about the feelings I have toward our president. You know what's going to happen? Before the end of this cast, I'm promising you the name's going to pop into my head, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Theresa from Inglewood, at least I hope so. Theresa from Inglewood. Larry, I feel very weird about the feelings I have toward our president. Even though I did not vote for him, I still want to support him as the leader of our country. I'm with you so far, because that is what I've always done, okay? Regardless of if I voted for them or not. I just don't feel like he has what it takes for this, the hardest job of all jobs. How do you suggest I deal with this ambivalence? Well, hold on for 4 more years, because we're all going to be dealing with that ambivalence. You know, what you're saying is that Obama's a nice guy, a likable guy, smart guy, clearly a smart guy, and he pulled off something that is clearly historic. Becoming the first black person to become elected president of the United States, dethroning the probable frontrunner Hillary Rodham Clinton when nobody really saw him coming. That was pretty heavy, and I'm impressed. And he has been a transformational president, as he wanted to be. If nothing else, Obamacare has fundamentally changed this country forever. In all the wrong ways, but he has been a transitional president. He's made his mark. There's no question about it. It's not just me saying this. There was an article in the Washington Post about a week or two ago, maybe three weeks ago. Time passes so quickly. The real criticism of Obama is he is a statist. He's a collectivist. This is a guy who believes in income redistribution. His words, not mine. You heard what he said to Joe the plumber. We should spread the wealth. That's what these guys are all about. During the debate, he told Charlie Gibson, when Charlie Gibson said, why do you want to raise capital gains? We talked about this, I think, last week. He said it's about fairness. And when Gibson said to him, you're not going to raise as much money, Obama basically said, I don't care. It's about being sure that this guy over here pays the fair rate. And Warren Buffett even said that raising taxes on the rich will improve the morale of the middle class. I don't know where he went to psych school, where he saw that in sociology, but raising taxes on somebody else doesn't do anything for me if I don't have any money. But that's what these guys are all about. So when you say, I don't feel like he, meaning Obama, has what it takes for this, the hardest job of all jobs, that has nothing to do with why he's inappropriate for this job. It has everything to do with his ideology. Obamacare has been an abomination, is an abomination. It's probably the worst piece of legislation I've ever seen in my lifetime. Spending your and my money to create 3.5 million jobs that were not created was an abomination. Expanding TARP under George W. Bush, which he never should have done, was an abomination. Bailing out GM was an abomination. Giving money to Solyndra, First Boston, all of these companies, many of which are run by people with campaign ties to Obama, is an abomination. $4 trillion of new debt is an abomination. 2% GDP growth 4 years into a recession, into a recovery, is an outrage. It's not even an abomination, it's an outrage. Yet this is what we've got. So this is why he's not qualified, not because he doesn't have what it takes. He's got what it takes in terms of showing up on time, being smart, being able to process information, being articulate, being able to deliver a good speech, having a good image, being a good family man. He's got all of that. He's got the wrong ideology. That's the problem. Anyway, Nixon Library, I'm going to be there on the 31st. You can go to LarryElder.com or KBC.com, get your tickets. And again, go to LarryElder.com, become an Eldorado. If you're not an Eldorado, I'll give you a little tease by putting this on the Larry Elder fan page on Facebook. You'll be able to watch a little bit of this, but if you want to see the thing in toto, you have to be an Eldorado. You'll get a free copy of the DVD Michael and Me, which is extremely relevant today because right now, today, as we speak, Senator Dianne Feinstein is proposing further gun control legislation. We'll be talking about this all next week. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. If you want to see the full video, got to be an Eldorado. Go to my website, LarryElder.com, log in, fill out the form. It'll cost you about $4.75 a month, or about the price of a mocha frappuccino latte at your favorite coffee house. As you can tell, I don't like coffee. I'm a tea drinker. See you next time.